Hi, everybody. My name is Botuist, and you are here for Gamers Assemble Episode 2. Here on the podcast, we have Inara.
Hello.
Say hi. And we have Siforias down here also.
Hello.
So, we are the U.S. team to the U.K. team you guys got to see last time, and hopefully we can be just as interesting without the great accents also.
I still think we have great accents.
I'm pretty happy with mine, but
I have a weird Philadelphia area accent, so
yeah, I got that Midwest a little bit too much. So this is the Gamers Assemble podcast, where we talk about what video games that we're playing, what we're looking forward to, and whatever we feel like talking about. So last week they talked about guilty pleasures, and we're going to continue that topic a little bit this week and see what the rest of us want to do. But before we do that, let's start off with what's everybody playing this week? What you guys having fun on?
Fall Guys.
Yeah.
Sif and I are both playing Fall Guys.
Both you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about Fall Guys, because I'm interested in it, but I haven't thought about. I've been waffling on picking it up.
So it's a cavalcade of mini games in which you play as a little jelly bean that you could put costumes on and stuff. Mine is currently dressed as a pigeon. And the mini games could be anything from these crazy Wipeout style obstacle courses where you have to race to the end, or to a fruit matching mini game, to a mini game where you literally run up a hill while dodging giant fruit launched at you from cannons.
I got to see some clips of that one on some of the streamers that I watch, and the falling fruit seems to be the most one where you're yelling at the screen being like, "Don't hit me."
Yep, nope. And I've discovered the trick, which is just to run up the very side of the hill, and most of the fruit will miss you. If you run up the middle, you're a madman. Don't do that. You're gonna get hit by everything. Don't do that.
Seems like some of the courses have shortcuts too, so you have to weigh the decision of, do I take the shortcut and maybe lose some time, or take the more straightforward route?
Yep, you can take the shortcut on, for example, Whirligig, where you go straight up the middle, and I go straight up the middle because we die like men. But you go straight the middle, and it's like this conveyor belt that gives you a little bit of a speed boost while you're running, and you have to time it perfectly to jump through the spinning blades, and if you don't, it launches you off the map, and you end up losing all that time you would have made up by not just going around the long way. So we die like men.
That sounds like every game of Mario Kart I've ever played.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
Any other games you guys playing?
You can go, Sif.
I've been playing Remnants from the Ashes, which is like a a shooting Dark Souls-like game, which I'm kind of biased with those games, sort of, because I just love them. And it's essentially just that. Just you have a gun. You can choose different types of guns. There's the sniper. You can choose 3 classes actually. 3 classes. A tank. I think the other one was kind of like the rogue type character, which has the sniper, and then the other one is what was the other one? I didn't play that class, so I don't know what class.
Is it more of a fantasy or a sci-fi genre?
Well, dystopian.
A little bit of both. I've played it. It's a little bit of both fantasy, dystopian, sci-fi thing going on. Okay. Did you get to the double boss on the bridge yet? Because that one made me want to gouge my eyes out.
Is that the
it's
one
this weird
with,
bug butterfly thing where there's one in front of you and one behind you? Yeah.
My God, that
game.
It took my friend and me ages.
It's like a true co-op version of Dark Souls, kind of like how Code Vein was later, where you could actually play through the whole game with someone. But it's very also clearly balanced for 2 people, so some stuff just kind of doesn't feel fair because it's not balanced for you to do it by yourself. At least in Code Vein, you could have an AI follow you around if you didn't have any friends.
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing about that is I don't know the game real well, but games like those co-op games where if you're doing them single player and it seems kind of unfair, it seems like it breeds a good game for like speed runs and trying to do more challenge runs for people. Just because, yeah, it's a harder game. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I played through Code Vein the second time without an AI companion and got my ass kicked a lot, but it was fun. But I'm also the person who tries to do no damage runs of Kingdom Hearts bosses on critical mode, which I think might make me a masochist.
I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure it
Yeah,
does.
perfect. One character with a desperation move that requires, I'm not kidding, probably a whole minute and a half of like perfectly timed dodges and blocks or you die.
Hmm.
Oh,
It's a no for me.
Yeah.
Hard. It's hard.
I have not been anything too interesting because I'm waiting for my new computer to come so I can have a little bit better gaming capabilities. But a friend of mine and I just got into starting up our own little Realms server for Minecraft, just for ourselves and some friends. We put it on hard mode, and we started one of the template maps where you already start on like an island and you have to try to live on the island. It's been a lot of fun, but I think both of us have died probably about 30 times so far in just the last week of playing. But it's been fun playing with Minecraft's new 1.16 update where they did all the stuff to the nether and increased it. And, you know, it's the only creative thing I can really do in video games is playing Minecraft. So I'm looking forward to getting my new computer so I can play some of these better graphics, newer games.
fair enough. I also went back to Dead Cells because it's easy to play with an infant in my lap. Because if he starts crying, it doesn't matter. I'm probably going to die in 30 seconds anyway. I started a fresh save file, so I don't have everything unlocked now, and I forgot how much I hated the game before I started unlocking like the permanent
Everything.
upgrades with cells.
Yeah.
Starting off with the rusty blade every time is the worst.
It really is. Yeah.
But it's one of my favorite games, and I've put such an embarrassing amount of time into it. It's such a good roguelite that I don't think any other roguelites will ever be good enough for me ever again.
Is that a PlayStation exclusive?
Nope.
No.
Dead Cells is on everything.
Okay.
And it's been out for a while. The Switch is my favorite system to play it on, actually.
Same here. Yeah.
It works
I'll
really
check
well
it
for
out.
like a handheld kind of deal.
I'll have to check it
Because
out.
it's like pixel art.
Very
should.
cool.
It's
I'll have to
pretty
check it out. I'm looking for new stuff to play. I gotta find what I want to do on my Switch. I started playing the most recent Sword and Shield Pokemon, and then I don't know. They had some issues with it, and I put it down and just haven't picked it back up again. I need to.
I don't know how
I
you feel about JRPGs, but Octopath Traveler is probably one of the best games on that system.
My sister loved Octopath Traveler. She thought it was a fantastic game.
It's a callback to like the days when JRPGs weren't as like fluffy and overcomplicated as they are now.
It reminded me a little bit of like some old Final Fantasy Tactics type games.
Some of the people
Similar.
who worked on it worked on Final Fantasy VI.
Okay.
So that's what it reminded me of. Really old Final Fantasy. Six was the first one that I finished, I think, as a kid.
Well, on that note, why don't we move into the guilty pleasures? Sif, why don't you go first and tell us what are your guilty pleasures in gaming?
Okay. Well, I'll start with. I have 3 games. Well, yeah. The first game is Final Fantasy 13, because I know some people hate it because it's so linear.
I don't like Lightning as a character at all, but it's 3 edgy.
And then the characters, I
but I get it.
I can see the perspective of not liking some of the characters there because I can't stand Hope. That's
Me
it.
either.
That's the only
I get
one.
it. I understand.
Can't stand him.
You said
or Vanille.
13, right?
Yeah, 13.
You said Final Fantasy. That's one of the ones that's online completely, right? Not one of the single player ones?
No.
Okay. I haven't played a Final Fantasy since 10. A friend of mine tried to get me into the online one, but I never ended up getting past
11
like the character
and
creation.
14 are the online ones.
Okay.
And 11 is better than 14, and it still has servers.
I think that was the one he was trying to get me on.
Yeah,
Continue, Sif.
and I don't know. It's linear, but I love the story, and I thought the ending was good. And I know people don't like it, but I love it, and I really want a trilogy remastered to come out, even though it's not the best Final Fantasy. But
Fair enough.
I love playing it. Yeah.
Fair enough.
And I guess another game is Dark Souls 2. I know that one gets a lot of bad rep for being the worst Dark Souls game.
It is technically better than 1 because it doesn't have as many bugs.
Does one have bugs?
I got stuck in walls, the floor, a whole bunch of like game breaking, have to reset your system bugs when I played Dark Souls for the first time. The remaster got rid of all the bugs, but OG Dark Souls 1 had a lot of bugs.
Oh, I've never played the OG Dark Souls, that's why. I've only played the remastered one.
Yeah.
2, I know it's kind of problematic for, I don't know, I always see it online that people complain about it.
I liked 2.
I liked 2 too. It was good. I know the boss variety wasn't the best, but I thought it was a lot of fun, and it had a lot of cool bosses, in my opinion, looking ones.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also do like different customizations and different ways you can go from the hub area too, which I enjoyed about it. Unlike 3, where 3 is kind of, you have to go through that one bonfire.
Yeah, every time.
Every time. Yep.
Have you played the remaster of 7 for Final Fantasy?
Oh, Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
I've played the
I was
remake.
so scared they were going to remove the cross-dressing scene, but they just made it better.
Me too.
Like, I thought Square Enix was going to be like, you know what, in this day and age, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. But they did it, and they made it better. It's so over the top. It's ridiculous.
So I heard people were happy with it. Sorry about interrupting. I was just thinking of Final Fantasy, and you were talking about Dead Souls. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's all good. I mean, and also, I know at least on PS4, Minecraft isn't really doing that well.
Minecraft has kind of been looked upon in recent years as kind of like the children's game. And I think a large amount of the YouTubers who play Minecraft have kind of contributed to that. It's like right up there with like Roblox as like the kids game.
Yeah, it's for kids, but I enjoy doing the creating and stuff. It's fun, even though the PS4 version is kind of broken. To be honest, it's like it kind of gets me mad, but I still play the game. I don't know why. It's fun.
Janky ports exist. The Nier Automata port on Steam should never be played by any human person ever. Just get the PS4 or Xbox One version. Don't play the PC port. It's janky. To the point that the director left a bug in the game because it just seemed like the kind of game that would have that bug. Thanks, Yoko Taro. The man is a massive troll and my hero.
Well, there's nothing wrong with playing Minecraft, Sif. I enjoy it. It's definitely one of... I didn't like it for a long time, and then I used to do therapy with children and such, and I had one particular kid that I worked with who he loved Minecraft, and it was one of the only ways that I could get through to him was Minecraft. And so I started learning how to play it. I brought over my laptop for sessions, and we ended up becoming really... Like, I actually found him a server that was specifically for people that had the particular type of developmental disabilities that he was dealing with. And the server was moderated by parents and by other, like, adults. And they kept, like, all the harassment down to, nothing. Like, if kids were bad, they went into, like, a jail for a while, like their character did, and they couldn't, like, dig out. And it ended up being a really productive community because his parents were always really worried about him being on any kind of server with just anybody he could be on. But this one was a whitelist server, so you had to like say, hey, either I have a child that has these type of difficulties, or I have, I'm experienced with them, like a teacher or something like that, and I want to be a part of the community. And I spent some time on there, and it was just a wonderful group of people. Everybody was really nice. The first time him and I logged into it, they were celebrating a birthday party for one of the kids, and he just
Aw.
had an absolute blast. And I just
sweet.
started getting used to the game. And then I found this server that was called an Anarchy server, and I'm not even going to say its name because I'm not going to promote them because they suck. But it got me to really enjoy a server that was very survival based. So when you logged in, you were in the spawn, and then the rest of the world was just open, and everybody on the server was cutthroat, and there were basically no rules other than don't cheat. And it really kind of made me really enjoy the game. And now I just play it as pretty much a way to relax, and when I don't want to do something that's a bit more serious, you know.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair. That's what I tend to do, or just go to create mode and make, I don't know, a base or something. You know, it's really
Planet
relaxing.
Coaster is the game that I used for that.
Oh, that's
'Cause I haven't played
fun
Minecraft in a really long time, but I want to build roller coasters. Dang it.
Oh, Roller Coaster Tycoon back in the day was a lot of fun.
Planet Coaster is awesome because it's made by the people who made the OG Roller Coaster Tycoon games. Because Frontier is made up of the people who originally developed them. The people who currently work on things like Roller Coaster Tycoon World are not people who worked on the OG good Roller Coaster Tycoon games. So, in a sense, Planet Coaster is the true successor to Roller Coaster Tycoon. It's amazing. Not my guilty pleasure, though. That involves anime husbandos.
Oh, well, tell us about your guilty pleasures.
I play an absurd amount of Otome games.
Okay.
I
For
got
those of
into
us
it
who
when I
are
was-
not,
They are dating sims, sort of, but they are a lot more tame and kind of more about the romance and the story than like traditional like male-oriented dating sims. They're dating sims that are made for women.
Oh, okay.
With a
Kinda
great
like-
many anime husbands to choose from.
kind of like romance novel made video game.
Yeah, they're visual novels. And the choices that you make throughout the game impact the way that things go, which route for which character you end on. And typically, each character route will have 2 or 3 different endings you can get depending on the choices you make in dialogue and other situations. My favorite one is Hakuoki, which is set during Edo period Japan. And the romance options are all members of the Shinsengumi, who were like a special police force back then for the shogunate, which it's delightful. Except the twist in that, because they always have a little bit of a twist, is they're vampires.
Okay.
Okay.
Naturally.
They all have like a little twist. The Code Realize series is also pretty popular, and all of the romance interests there in that game are based off of famous literary characters, so like Sherlock Holmes and Van Helsing and Arsène Lupin and the Count of Saint Germain, who is not a literary character but is totally a fabricated person who didn't actually exist in history, but like this great mysterious life. And they're just really fun. I have a lot of fun with them. And even though I started playing them when I was single and lonely, they were like my I'm single and lonely replacement. But then I just started getting really invested in like the stories of the characters. It's not even about the romance for me, because like the intricate stories that each route will weave together, so you'll get a part of the greater narrative with each character route. So if you want to experience the whole story of the game, you have to play it as many times as there are like different characters to romance, and through that you'll get every single one of the pieces of story to learn what is actually going on in this like greater universe that the game is set in. It's really cool.
What system do you usually play it on?
They are typically made only for PCs or handhelds. For a really long time, the only system you could play Otome games on was the Vita.
Oh, wow.
So I had a Vita. They've made a couple for the Switch. A couple of the really big ones have come out on PC. So Hakuoki, Amnesia, Code Realize is on the PS4. and I have that one for that. And there's a couple more that have come out for the Switch recently that are localizations of ones that we didn't previously have in English, which is really exciting for me. I think the Switch is going to be the new Otome Games machine, with the Vita being very, very dead.
Yeah, I saw some games on Switch that they're basically visual novels like that, dating. I guess like dating ones. Some of their translations aren't the best, from what I've
No,
seen.
some of the translations aren't really great. The ones that come from like the bigger studios typically are, like Collar X Malice is coming to Switch. And that localization I've already seen, and it's really well done. And I'm glad that we're getting it on the Switch, because I've always wanted to play it, and there was no localization for me to play.
Right.
But yeah, no, Otome games are literally just, they're like interactive romance novels, but without like the trashy smut, essentially. Like, there is no smut in most of them. There are some with smut. There is one in particular that has like full on like pornographic images in it. It was a little bit much for me. That wasn't what I was here for. But I very much enjoy
that
them.
one
And
probably
then,
won't make it through the Switch, probably.
no, probably not. And then my other guilty pleasure is Viva Pinata, which I still own an Xbox 360 just to play. Because Viva Pinata
remember
is the
that
best
game.
game. It's the best looking game on that system. It's so
Very colorful.
Very colorful.
and really dark if you think about it a little too hard. You raise these pinatas and then you send them off to parties, and they come back happy, even though essentially what happens at that party is that they are beaten until they fall apart so children can eat the candy out of them.
Right. And die.
Like, your whole duty is to raise these pinatas so that they can be sent off to slaughter. Brutal, beat to death slaughter.
Kind
But
of
it's bright,
reminds me.
colorful, and delightful. It's my favorite.
Yeah. Kids game without any of the mature content being like real surface level. It's real kind of like, the parents are playing in it and they're probably like, wait a minute, this is a little weird. Who knows?
Yep. And I guess my last guilty pleasure is the Kingdom Hearts series, because people really love to hate it for some reason, especially people who've never played any of them.
So, on that topic, so I'm a person who looked at all the Kingdom Hearts for years, and I've looked at it and I'm like, wow, that looks like a cool kind of Final Fantasy style game. And then there's like Donald Duck. And I'm just kind of like, it pulls, personally, for my fantasy genre that I like, games I'm enjoyable, having those Disney characters seems to kind of pull me out of that storyline. But from what it sounds like, the Kingdom Hearts storyline kind of wraps that all up as part of the whole thing in the first place.
Yeah, so the way that Kingdom Hearts works is the main characters are the OCs, Do Not Steal, Sora, Riku, and Kairi, and then later on in games, Terra, Aqua, and Ventus, and Axel, Roxas, and Shion. They're all in trios. It's very symbolic.
Okay, so that's why the Goofy, Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse are like the trio of theirs.
Yeah, so Mickey Mouse is the king of the Disney Castles theme world. So the way that it works is there are original worlds and other worlds. And essentially the Disney worlds function like planets.
Mm-hmm.
So you travel to different ones, save them from whatever crazy darkness has invaded their world, and move on to the next one. So the Disney worlds overall, and this has been a huge criticism from fans of the Kingdom Hearts series, is the Disney worlds don't really fit into the greater narrative at all. They're just kind of there for set dressing. Because you could theoretically make each and every one of the worlds you go to in the game an original world if you wanted to, but it's a Disney game, so
yeah,
do Mulan.
There's already a bunch of established canon for the game, or for the characters and such. So is the general premise is that these different trios, these different groups of adventurers are from different worlds and different like game genres? Okay.
It's complicated. So with the first couple of games, you just get Sora, Riku, and Kairi, except Roxas makes an appearance with Axel and 2. Shion wasn't invented until after the fact, and she doesn't really exist anyway, so that's a whole other thing. But it centers on these 3 groups of friends. Terra, Aqua, and Ventus are from the prequel game. And essentially everything bad that happens in this entire series is Terra's fault. He's an idiot. He falls for the main bad guy of the whole series is garbage. It's kind of like an Anakin Skywalker, Sheev Palpatine thing they've got going on there. And it's even funnier because Ericus is voiced by Mark Hamill.
Oh, he's in everything.
He is in everything.
I love Mark
Xehanort's
Hamill.
original voice actor was Leonard Nimoy before he passed away. And Sir Christopher Lee, before he passed away, was also in Kingdom Hearts.
That's really cool. I can see who was the person you said before Christopher Lee? Oh,
Leonard Nimoy.
Leonard Nimoy. I can see Leonard Nimoy doing it. I'm a little surprised to see
Christopher Lee was a dork as when he was alive. He was also in a power metal band. They released an album. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
No, I love Christopher Lee. Now, the main villain's voice actor is Christopher Lloyd, who was Doc Brown in Back to the Future.
That's cool.
Xehanort has now had 3 voice actors in English. Started with Leonard Nimoy, then he passed away, then Rutger Hauer, and then he passed away, and now it's Christopher Lloyd. I think that role might be cursed, so I'm praying for Christopher Lloyd.
God.
So, what are your guilty pleasures, friendo?
Well, let's see. The 2 that come off the top of my head is Mass Effect Andromeda. I mean, a lot of people like the Mass Effect series, but I would say a good, healthy majority of the community hated Andromeda.
I am completing my rage.
Yeah. And I've had multiple gamer friends who have wanted to disown me for enjoying Andromeda, but I like
to enjoy it.
I know, but I think it was a nice way of being able to get away from the main 3 characters revolving around Commander Shepard, because in the universe that the original 3 games were in, Commander Shepard is the pinnacle. I mean, where are you going to go after that? I mean, he literally saved the entire galaxy from the world's biggest threat, or the biggest threat possible. And so the only way to do it would be to take a lot of the same like cultures and technology and stuff, and then have them go someplace else. And so Andromeda kind of gave me that like a little bit of No Man's Sky, like the good parts of No Man's Sky, and then the bit of the Mass Effect gameplay, while still being able to play with like Krogans and the Asari and all that type of stuff, which I liked it. I thought it was a beautiful game. I enjoyed being able to explore the worlds. I wish that they hadn't screwed up how they were going to do the DLC and then like maybe another game, because from what it sounds like, they're just going to scrap pretty much the entire Andromeda thing.
Yeah, I think EA is going to scrap BioWare entirely, because that's their MO, is to make studios make things that they're not good at making and then shut them down. And
LucasArts,
Anthem and Andromeda
Westwood
performed, it's not looking good for BioWare. And I love the concept of Andromeda. The concept I love. The execution, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, the launch for that game was a mess. It was so buggy. I can't tell you how many times I got stuck in T-pose.
Yep.
T-posing.
Some of the graphic glitches when you were making characters were just nuts.
Games shouldn't launch that way.
No. And I mean, not in a franchise, a property that had such a devout following, fan base for it.
I mean, they screwed us over with the ending of 3 anyway. When they told us it wasn't going to be an A, B, or C ending, those were their words. It's not going to be A, B, or C. And it wasn't A, B, or C. It was red, blue, or green.
Yeah, pretty much. I liked the game. I mean, I didn't know what else could they have done.
Until the end. But it would have been better if they had not specifically told us that that's not what they were going to do. And then they did it anyway. Somebody very angrily sent them a bunch of cupcakes labeled A, B, and C in red, blue, and green.
Yeah, well,
a lot of cupcakes.
Developers need to be really careful in today's age about promising anything for any game.
Yeah,
because
take that lesson from Sean Murray, poor man.
Yeah, the internet has a long memory, and it is very easy to look up that stuff. And anybody who says anything publicly about anything, I mean, gamers are rabid people. I mean, they are. if it's a genre they love, I mean, just look at the Last of Us 2 controversy. You know, if it's a game that they love, they will go nuts about it. And if
I've
you say,
had people tell me that we're not friends anymore because I don't like either of those games. I just thought they were mediocre, and people get very mad at me for it.
yeah, people get very passionate about the games they enjoy. You know, it's the storylines, because for me, you know, I love the Mass Effect storyline because it was
It was the first big space opera in video games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, I played Star Ocean, which was that was a pretty good space opera.
It's also very Japanese, so a little bit less accessible for other people.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I played it on just Super Nintendo and some of the old, I think N64 or something like that. I have to remember which console it was.
They've been continuously making Star Ocean stuff. There is one out for the PS4. But that's Western games are much more accessible to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I still think it's the same thing for like the weeb trash argument. If you like Japanese games more than Western games, you're weeb trash. And I just think a lot of Japanese developers take more pride in their work than Western ones, at least as far as like publishers are concerned. Because in the West, you have companies like EA, where their entire purpose is just to make all the money and not to put out like artistic integrity filled work, as opposed to like Square Enix has some issues, but for the most part, they make the things they want to make. And if you don't like them, tough shit.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stuff that comes out of developers in the West is like conveyor belt stuff that they know will sell.
Well, EA pretty much destroys everything they touch anyways. I mean, I think that's
Take away their Star Wars license, please.
Yeah.
Please.
I miss the old LucasArts.
Star Wars. I miss Knights of the Old Republic. God, BioWare, how the mighty have fallen.
Yep. Knights of the Old Republic was amazing. And it was one of the first games that I actually got into doing mods and stuff, because I liked the game so much that I wanted to add in all the lightsaber crystals and everything that the game didn't have. So it was a lot of fun. So, I mean, like I was saying, Andromeda, I mean, they did drop the ball a lot on it, but the way I looked at it was this. If I took Mass Effect Andromeda and took it in a patch state after they've done a lot of the bug fixes, you know, from launch day, and you gave it to somebody who did not know the Mass Effect universe, I think they would really enjoy the game.
I agree.
You know,
as a Mass Effect fan, I'm just in that weird little biased hole
where
I'm upset just constantly. I'm really good at being angry. I think it's because I'm so small.
Well, there's people get disappointed when companies screw up something that is so near and dear to people. I mean, the Fallout.
I was mad about Andromeda. I'm sad about Anthem.
Well, I never got hyped up for
I'm
Anthem.
not emotionally attached to Anthem. I'm just sad that BioWare was forced to make that. Because if you look into like the development cycle, it wasn't originally supposed to be that. They didn't want to make a looter shooter. They wanted to make like a co-op outer space survival game, which is a way cooler concept than another Destiny clone.
Yeah, and if I'm going to play looter shooter, like I enjoy Warframe a lot. Like Warframe is a lot of fun. I am amazed at how great it looks on an older computer. Like the graphic quality for Warframe. Yeah, and the customization's great. The community is great. Like I've watched so many podcasts and streams from the people who create Warframe, and they're just a nice group of people. They listen to their community more than a lot of other games I've seen. And I mean, if you're just going to run around and shoot things, that seemed to be because like when Anthem came out, a lot of people were comparing it to Warframe because it was like you're in a suit and you're going and doing things, you know.
Yep, it was both a Warframe and a Destiny clone at the same time, mushed together.
And the people who love Destiny, I mean, they are hardcore Destiny players, you know.
They're also nuts because that game is mediocre at best.
Yeah.
Warframe is a much better looter shooter.
Yeah.
And isn't going to suck nearly as much money out of you with overpriced expansion content that's only 5 to 10 hours long.
I like a lot of free-to-play games where the game itself is enjoyable, that you don't have to actually buy the DLC or the extra stuff for it to still enjoy it, or if it has an in-game currency, because most games nowadays have multiple in-game currencies. So I never mind if the in-game currency at least has a way for me to earn it to get the premium stuff. And
Oh yeah.
with Warframe, they very rarely do anything that you can't earn in game if you just grind it out.
Oh yeah, no, Guild Wars 2 is the same way. So the
Mhm.
in-game currency that you earn in-game, there's two. There's karma and there's gold. Gold can be converted into the premium currency, diamonds, which you can use to buy the premium stuff from the store. So you don't ever have to spend a dime. And if you're
No.
like me and you've been playing that game since it launched 8 years ago, you have plenty of gold to convert into diamonds.
Yeah,
More than enough.
let's see, what was it? Is it Heart of Thorns was their first one,
First
and then what was the
expansion
next one?
Path of Fire. And
Path
there's
of
another
Fire.
one coming out pretty soon for number
See,
2.
I played the original. I played Heart of Thorns, and I played Path of Fire, and I really liked Guild Wars 2. I grinded the Fractal missions so hard.
Everybody did. Fractals was
Yeah.
like the only endgame stuff to do for a while because you just had fractals and dungeons before they added raids.
Yeah, because the dungeons nobody hardly played unless you were trying to get something specific.
You did
know,
them the first time you had to do them, and that was like
Yeah.
it. You did the story version of the dungeon, and then you never looked at them again. But fractals were like,
Well, sometimes I did the dungeons sometimes if I wanted a specific cosmetic that I could get from.
yeah, if there was like a
from the
drop in
gold
one of
ones.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Typically that was in the late leveled ones, though. The early, like the first two that you unlock, you do them the first time, and then you forget about them because there's
Yeah.
nothing worth having in them anyway.
Exactly. And with I don't know, with Guild Wars 2, it just got to the point where I felt like it was the upper level raids that you had to do were really hard to get a group to organize and to do properly, because up to that point none of the content really needed that much coordination.
You have to be in a very serious guild. I'm
Yeah,
lucky enough to be in a very serious guild, but I've also been playing the game for 8 years pretty seriously. I'm actually in the middle of a break right now because I have done everything there is to do in the game so far, and I got kind of bored, so I'm waiting for new stuff.
I had a little what are those, Asuras? I had a little Asura element.
The little gremlin boys.
Yeah, the Elementalist or whatever they are. I have my guy. He is just absolutely cranked mad. And what was interesting about Guild Wars 2 is that unlike a lot of other games I played in the past, like I played the original EverQuest, I played original
WoW.
Guild Wars 1. Yeah, I mean I played a lot of those old games. I played a little bit of WoW. I would get bored of a character, and once I had them fully leveled up, I didn't want to play them very much anymore, and I wanted to start a new one. With Guild Wars 2 was the very first game that when I got a character to 80 and I kept playing, I still enjoyed continuing to play that character.
Well, and then with the expansions, they added new trait lines and new builds that you could make. And the build options, because of the way that Guild Wars' skills work, with that being linked to weapons instead of linked to class, and then having the few that are linked to class, and you unlock more over time. There are so many different build options that my Necromancer has probably been 10 or 12 different builds in the entire time that I've played the game, and I still have her because she's my baby. I played a Norn because I'm short and overcompensating. But when Reaper came out with Heart of Thorns, I was like, oh my god, I can make my Necro a tank. Oh my god, I can make my Necromancer a tank. Light armor tank. Let's go. It works really well.
Those great sword skills were cool.
Is the game free to play or no?
The base game is free to play. You pay for the expansions.
Okay.
But the base game kept me satisfied for like 4 years. So.
Yeah, and the expansions, I mean, they're pretty good for what you get for the price. I
so much content for like $30-$40. So much content.
And you get new, the new zones that they've done are very pretty. I mean, they're very.
The Maguma Jungle to this day is one of my favorite maps to take a new character in to just explore and unlock all the vistas and stuff because it's beautiful.
Well, you get
zone.
And it's interesting how the character, especially in the Maguma Jungle, how the movement abilities of the characters become very prevalent in how they can move through the actual jungle, because most games.
Vertical.
Yeah, well, most games, exactly. Most games don't have, they're more spread out this way, not this way.
Yeah, Maguma Jungle was a map with so much verticality. There's it's 3 different zones wrapped into one. In the tree canopy, on top of the trees, and on the forest floor, and different enemies spawn there, and it looks different. It was like they made 3 maps every time they made a single map in that zone. It was really cool.
but because of the giant trees, they all felt connected really well, which was kind of nice. I can't even count how many times I fell in the jungle and found a new area that I hadn't found. You know, like
I was like, oh, I've never been here before. Neat.
Trying to glide
that was
around
also
with the
a fun
gliders and everything. Yeah. Well, the gliders
favorite
help a lot.
Yeah, but you don't get a whole lot of time with them, like in the air when you first unlock them. So I made a lot of mistakes when that pack first came out, where I would like zip off of a tree and then fall to my death because I ran out of glider.
Yeah, it did. There's definitely a learning curve to the game, and I like that it's a little bit more skill based. The PvP for Guild Wars 2 is really fun. It's hard because you either have to pick one of the meta ones or you're going to be struggling uphill. But that uphill battle was fun sometimes. You know,
Yeah,
I don't know. I had a
used
good
to
time with
run-
PvP.
When Minion Master Necro was super, super meta, and the only thing that you could run for Necro, like in PvP, I was running Condi builds and winning sometimes. Just
Wow.
because that's what I had more fun playing, and if I was having a good time, I was playing better.
Wow.
Let me just afflict 80 bajillion conditions onto you so you're crippled and frozen and bleeding to death. Do it.
Yeah, I played a lot of tank builds with my little elementalist dude because
That's hilarious because he's a gremlin and this big.
Yep. And so I was really good at flipping between the different attunements for the different elements, and had macros set up for it to make it a little bit quicker and stuff like that. And I would take a point, and it would take two people could not usually get me off the point. They had to have a third person usually come in to get me off, because if I didn't want to move, I just kept tuning into the earth stuff or the water stuff and just kept healing and don't move. You know?
Yeah, that's not even considering like the world versus world like server tournaments, which are just giant Zerg battles.
Yeah.
They're
And those are
war.
fun. Those are a lot of
much
fun.
It is. You don't want to be a noob trying to take part in that though, because people will get very mad at you
No.
if you do the wrong thing. They will get
Yes.
very mad.
Yes.
People
But
take world versus world very seriously.
And they have noob nights where they'll bring on specifically people that are more noob to train them how to do the different, captures and things like that.
But because the rewards for winning the tournament are so good, if you just jump in as a noob and just start randomly doing stuff without asking questions, people will flame the crap out of you.
Well, an interesting point is that you can have multiple guilds in Guild Wars 2, which a lot of games they don't. Once you're part of a particular, but most games you're part of one guild and that's it. So
I have one very
you could have
serious guild, and then I have a guild with like IRL friends, and then I have a guild that I started with somebody I met in game that specifically exists to help new players learn how to play the game.
Yeah,
so,
I pretty much had two different guilds that I played between them. One of them was actually three. One was specifically dedicated to running world events, like the bosses and stuff. Another one dedicated to world versus world PvP, and then just the regular fun one that you hang out with people and do stuff.
Yeah,
but it's nice.
The super serious one used to do world versus world and world events, and that was like all we did until raids came out. But I will forever remember doing Tecatl one day and getting a final rest drop, and that staff on that event had a 0.016% chance of dropping, and I got it. And because I run a necromancer, I wanted the skin because it's the staff with the gargoyle that sits on top of it.
Yep.
I needed it. And I didn't want to buy it because up on the in the trading post, it was super expensive to get it from somebody. So I just wanted it to drop. And I ran that event like 8 times that day, and on the 8th time, it finally dropped. And I was like, I stopped now.
It took me forever to get Incinerator because I usually play a Dagger Celestial gear build one, which a lot of people don't like Celestial gear, but I always thought on Elementalist it was fantastic because you could adapt to anything at any time.
It is. I have officially crafted 2 full sets of legendary armor at this point, so I need to do nothing anymore. I'm set until they add new legendaries.
The
legendary armor is great because it's ascended armor, except you can stat swap it. So if you want to run multiple builds, you don't have to craft 80 bajillion sets of armor.
You can just switch it now.
Yeah, I still need to craft 1 more set of legendary armor because I don't have the heavy armor. I have the light and the medium, but I don't have the heavy. But I'll do it eventually. The only heavy armor character I have is a Revenant that I think I've played 4 times since I fully leveled it. So
I've got, I think, most of the ascended stuff for the light armor such, but I never really played medium or heavy armor characters, so didn't really work.
The only medium armor character I play is an assassin.
No.
It's the thief. Yeah.
Let me think here, because we are actually doing pretty good for time so far.
Yeah.
We've been talking. Who knows? Who would have thought a bunch of gamers have a lot to talk about games?
Wow. Sorry,
Guild
Sif,
Wars.
you've been kind of left out of the Guild Wars discussion.
I was just like, I don't know what the fuck they're saying, but I am living.
It is
Yeah.
a beautiful game. It even has beautiful art. It's all the art is this very like watercolor painterly kind of
Mhm.
style. It doesn't try to be hyper realistic or like cartoony. Like it looks like an oil painting in a lot of places. It's beautiful. I love the
Give
art
it a-
style.
Give it a
And the
shot.
plant
It's
people.
I mean, give it a shot.
Free, so might as well.
It's free. I would definitely recommend people to try it out.
Yeah, base game costs nothing now.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt to try. Costs you $0, but you might have a really good time. Also, if you can, play a salad. The Sylvaris.
Yes.
They're plant people.
Sylvaris.
They're Guild Wars'
Mhm.
version of elf, but they are literal
Okay.
plants.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, they are grown from a tree, and they fall out fully grown as adults.
Okay.
And
How
the
many
race
races are
themselves,
there?
I think, are only like 30 years old. Like the oldest Sylvari are in their 30s, because the tree that they sprout from just grew recently within the last
Yeah.
couple of decades.
And the tree gives them all their knowledge, so they come out as like basically full adults. It's an
And
interesting
the tree is
storyline.
sentient.
Mm-hmm.
The tree is sentient. She has an avatar. She is female.
Well, this is we're already in game recommendations, so we're making progress here because I would definitely recommend Guild Wars 2 for anybody who wants a nice, fun, free to play game to get into.
I mean, I've
It'll
had it
make
since
you want to
before
buy
it was
it.
free to play, and some of us were kind of salty when it came out as free to play, and we were like, "Wait, but I already paid for this."
Mm-hmm.
But they did give like the veteran players like some cosmetics and like some gold and stuff when it went free to play, which was neat. Also, we get more bank tabs and character slots than free to play players do.
Oh,
They
man.
did a lot for the free to play version to prevent gold selling, essentially. You'll notice when you play Guild Wars, there's really no gold selling the way there are in other MMOs because they've made it like impossible for anyone to do that. You have to play the game for a certain amount of time before you can like post in world chat. So who's gonna wait like a week to be able to start gold selling?
Mm-hmm.
Got
to farm up a lot of accounts then.
Yep, essentially. And it's too difficult. They've intentionally made it hard, so you don't get a whole lot of spam, which is delightful. Other game recommendations: everyone should play Fall Guys and Dead Cells. Do it. Do it. Or I got back into Persona 5. That's a good game too. Please play that game. It's the best JRPG ever made.
It looks cool. I've never got to try it though.
And Nier
Persona.
Automata. Everyone should play that game if you enjoy existential dread and misery like I do. Yoko Taro is a crazy person who basically he made the Nier games as a spin-off, as a continuation of the secret joke ending of Drakengard, because everybody got so mad at that ending that the man thought, haha, wouldn't it be funny if my next franchise was based off of that? He's a troll. And I love him. But he also isn't like Hideo Kojima, who when asked why Quiet wears skimpy clothes goes, oh, she breathes through her skin. When he was asked why he made a game that featured a bunch of sexy lady robots, he was just like, I like sexy women. I appreciate the honesty. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's like,
True to
why'd you
yourself.
make the sexy robot ladies? Because I like sexy robot ladies. Fair enough, so do I, so I'm good with it.
Own it, just straight own it. Sif, you got any good game recommendations?
Oh, Dragon Quest XI. For
Ooh.
sure. It is amazing. And if you love JRPGs, you're going to love it. It has old school game mechanics and more modern game mechanics put together. And you just really have to play it.
Dragon Quest series as a whole is just top tier.
Great. Yeah. I've only played 11 and I played a little bit of I think it was 8 or 9.
Oh, you guys make me feel so old because I played the original, like a bunch of the like early Dragon Quest games on my Game Boy and stuff like that. That's where I fell in love with the little slimes.
It's on Switch. 1, 2, and 3.
Mhm.
You can play them, and I'm thinking of buying them once they go on sale for sure to try them out. But I recommend Dragon Quest XI.
Feels
That's
good
my
to make someone else feel old, because normally other people make me feel old.
recommendation.
Well, for me, let's see, kind of a guilty pleasure and a game recommendation that I'm playing, and because this is a controversial topic with gamers, is a mobile game that I'm actually playing through BlueStacks emulator on my computer, which I will tell you, if you want to do
I have it.
like game emulation, it works really well. I'm looking forward to running it on my new computer, because who would have thought that a Android emulator would need that much memory? But apparently it
Yeah,
does.
it's got a surprise. It needs a surprising amount of memory
Yeah.
to run properly.
So the game I'm playing is there's a type of game, I don't know if you guys have heard, probably gotcha games, like GACHA, where you
Yeah.
pull for
Kingdom Hearts has
heroes and
one.
stuff like that. There's the Dragon Ball Z has the Dokkan game and a couple of other
There's a
ones.
Fire
I think
Emblem one.
Final
There is a Final Fantasy
Final
one.
Fantasy, I think,
Brave
has one.
Exvius.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. No, Kingdom
Marvel's
Hearts one.
the Marvel one is really popular, apparently, for Marvel heroes and such. But the one I play is Seven Deadly Sins Grand Cross. It's the same kind of gotcha
I see
series.
you two are a man of culture.
Yes, it is. For a free-to-play game and a gotcha game, it is amazing. They give you so much stuff for free-to-play. I have spent a couple bucks here and there, like $4 here, $5 here for certain packs that I really wanted. But that was really just because I felt like it. I never felt like I needed to buy anything like some of these other games that are similar to this. But if you're a fan of the Seven Deadly Sins anime at all, then I highly recommend trying it out, because the way they actually retell the entire series story through the game, and in a lot of ways, some people say they do a better job than some of the actual series do, the way that they do the game.
Fair
And you
enough.
get to do a lot of playing with the characters with these side missions, because so with Seven Deadly Sins, you have either the manga or you have the show, and a lot of people either watch one or they read the other one, and they don't do the other genre. With the Seven Deadly Sins Grand Cross game, you actually get to see a lot of animated clips for parts of the Seven Deadly Sins world that don't make it into the regular series. So it's really neat to see some of the origin stories, some of the side missions that they did as a group. The PvP is a lot of fun. I don't know. I just really enjoy the game. It's really relaxing, and I recommend anybody to give it a shot, because it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I would love to chat with you guys forever, but I have an infant.
Yes. So we will wrap up today. This has been absolutely fantastic to talk to you guys, especially since this is episode 2. I think we are kicking butt. Anybody who is watching that wants to give any suggestions, send it to gamersassemble@gmail.com. Or feel free to hit up any of us on our Twitch streams or Twitter or any of the other social media that you can find by staying tuned. Otherwise, I hope everybody has a fantastic day, and I look forward to episode 3.
Bye, guys.
Yeah. Bye.
See you guys later. Have a good day. Peace.
Bye.